Hey, welcome to the next episode of the South African Digital Marketing Podcast. My name's Terence Mentor, and I'm a digital marketer who's realized that since this industry is constantly changing, we need to be constantly learning. And I think the best way to learn all the things is to talk to the people who are doing all of the things. This episode is just me talking about something that has really struck me over the last week. Because over the last week, our colleagues in the US have had to deal with the TikTok turmoil of the darkness approaching, the darkness happening, and then the light appearing again as TikTok suddenly came back online after just a few hours of the ban actually being implemented. And I think that kind of proves the point of what I said at the beginning of every episode. This industry is constantly changing. It changed on Sunday, and then it changed again on Sunday. Change is inevitable in digital marketing. Now, obviously, there are huge conversations to be had about whether or not TikTok should be banned compared to other channels that use your data in equally unscrupulous ways, maybe, allegedly. But what I really want to focus on is the idea that you cannot put all your eggs into one digital marketing channel basket. Because I can only imagine the terror of being a digital marketer in 2024 who is seeing this potential TikTok ban approaching if you've been a digital marketer who has decided that your whole strategy revolves around TikTok. What do you do if everything you've done, all of your focus, your time, and your resources has been to establish yourself and your brand on TikTok, and suddenly you hear, well, someone's going to snap their fingers and all of that is going to be gone. Now, obviously, they had a few months to prepare, but do you want to now take resources away and then start building up different channels and different platforms? What happens if TikTok isn't banned? Like it's kind of looking like it won't be banned anymore. Now you've taken away resources from the space where you've been building. It becomes super confusing as to what to do. You're kind of taking a risk either way. And this is why I really believe that digital marketing strategies should have some level of diversity, especially in their owned media. So just to quickly backtrack, you can kind of separate media out into three types: paid, earned, and owned. And from a digital marketing perspective, paid is kind of like your Google ads. Earned would be any kind of organic traffic that you get from social media, for example. And an example of your owned media would be your website, something that is yours, you've paid for, and you control to the most part. So we focus in on the owned type of media. Many people will consider your own TikTok page, Facebook page, LinkedIn page to be owned media because you put effort into establishing that and it's something that you control. Whether or not that's true is up for debate, and I think this TikTok ban shows how debatable it is whether or not it's owned media. If you can have someone else completely take that channel away from you, do you really own it? And not just that, if other people can decide whether or not your audience sees your owned media or not, which is the case for Facebook and all social media channels, is it really owned? Is it more earned? We can debate that. But whatever side of that debate you fall on, because of that debate existing in the first place, it should tell you that you need to have a little bit of diversity in your owned media. So as a brand, you can't just have your TikTok account as the only space where people can interact with you. You need to have something going on Meta, Instagram, or Facebook. And really, truly, you have to have a website. Because when the poop really hits the fan, when TikTok gets banned, or Meta changes the algorithm, or Google decides to get rid of all the SEO strategies we've been using for the past forever years, your website will be the one place that cannot be touched. Now, yes, it is very hard to get good traffic to a website, and it's so much easier to get that attention on social media, but the reality is you are not in control there. And this is why brands, big and small, need to make sure that their website game is completely up to scratch, making sure that you're up to date with all your information, making sure that the website looks good, and ultimately is a great experience for your audience that might be suddenly coming there because there's no other way to interact with you. And this doesn't just protect you against those big sweeping changes like TikTok getting banned. Maybe your account gets a violation on it by mistake and you can't access it for a few days or weeks or even months. Or some hacker gets into it and suddenly owns your TikTok account. You can close that, leave that alone, maybe even start over. At least you have that base of having your website looking good and being able to redirect people to that space. So make sure you have that own space that you are in complete control of, and everything else, a little bit of diversity goes a long way. So the big argument against everything I've just said from most marketers, especially those who are working in small brands or brands that aren't established yet, is that they don't have the resources to spread their work across multiple channels, to really do good work in TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and a website and X, or whatever X is calling itself this week. I hear that, and that is a very fair argument. And I agree that it makes more sense to focus in on one channel and do that channel really well and get the ball rolling there than spreading yourself across the channels and doing everything badly. But I do think that the better strategy is to make sure that you have that long-term vision. You've got to be thinking beyond just TikTok or just Instagram. You've got to think, wait a second, once I get TikTok rolling after 3 months or 6 months or a year, what is the next channel that I'm going to be working on? And what does getting the ball rolling on TikTok even look like? What are the metrics that we're going to be measuring to let us know that we've reached a level where we can now take our foot off the gas maybe a little bit on that channel and start putting more resources into other channels? And it is part of the ultimate marketer's dilemma that there's so much work to do right now, but we also have to have long-term thinking. And balancing that out, well, I leave that up to you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the SA Digital Marketing Podcast. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search for Terrence Mentor and I should pop up. I'll also put a link to that in the show notes so you can follow me very easily from wherever you're listening to this. And please make sure you subscribe to this podcast and share it with another marketer who just needs someone to talk to them, which, you know what, we all do. Thanks so much. Cheers.